In the scale used on a blueprint, 1/4 inch represents 2 feet. On the blueprint, what is the length of a room with an actual length of 20 feet? So we've got 1/4 inch, I'm going to put IN for inch, for every 2 feet. I'm going to put FT for feet. And we're looking for 20 feet. So if I've got my feet down here, I better have my feet down here, 20 feet. We're looking for how many inches is that going to be? So 2 times 10 is 20. So 1/4 times 10 will give us our solution. So we've got 1/4 times 10. 10 is the same thing as 10 over 1. So 1 times 10 is 10. 4 times 1 is 4. Gives us 10 quarters. So you might know if you have 10 quarters how much money that would be. But we can divide this 10 divided by 4. This is the same thing as 8 quarters plus 2 quarters. Now the reason I did that is because 8 quarters, 8 divided by 4, this is just 2. So we end up with this right here, that's 2. So we've got 2 and 2 quarters, and we all know 2 quarters is the same thing as 1/2. So we have 2 and 1/2. So there we go, right there. 15 is D, 2 and 1/2. Number 16. What is the volume of the triangular prism shown below? Okay, so this is a triangular prism. We've got to find the area of this triangle. The volume would be capital B, which is the area of the base, times the height. This is the area of the base. So we've got to find out what the area of this triangle is, because that's our base. So, and there really should be a little dotted line going right there. So the area of a triangle from our formula chart is 1/2 base times height. So our base here is 8. So we have 1/2 times 8. And our height here is 3 times 3. So 1/2 times 8 times 3. Now because this is all multiplication, it does not matter which order we work this in. We could take half of 8, which is 4. Then do 4 times 3, give us 12. Or we could do 8 times 3 is 24. And then half of 24 is 12. Anywhere we do it, we're going to get 12. So the area of this base is 12. The area of the triangle is 12 square centimeters. The height is 13. So we've got 12 times 13. Volume equals 12. The area of the base is 12. And the height is 13. And we know 12 times 12, but we should have 12 times 12 memorized. 12 times 12 is 144. Plus another 12 will give us 12 times 13, which is 156. Or you could just do 12 times 13. 13 times 12 will give us there. 13 times 12, the area of the base times the height gives us 156. Number 17. The diagram below shows the radius of the circular opening of a drinking cup. Wow, they even tell us it's the radius. We know that's the radius. It's half the diameter, but they're telling us the radius. So our radius is 4. So we're going to look at our formula chart, and there's 2 formulas we could use. We could use circumference equals 2 times pi times our radius, or we could use circumference equals pi times the diameter. And it also tells us pi is roughly 3.14. So with multiplication, it does not matter which order you do it in. So we could do 2 times the radius times pi, or we do 2 times pi, then times the radius. And we're going to substitute our r here is 4. So we've got 2 times pi times 4. Okay, so since pi is 3.14, let's just go ahead and multiply these whole numbers together first. We have 2 times 4, which is 8. Circumference equals 8 pi. Now that very well could be an answer. That is actually the best answer, 8 pi. But it's not there. So we're going to have to do 8 times 3.14. And we can round. 8 times 3 is 24, so it's going to be a little more than 24. There's only one answer here that's a little more than 24, and that's 25 centimeters. Here we would have gotten the same thing, only we'd have to change our radius to our diameter. If our radius is 4, our diameter is 8, so we end up with pi times 8. Again, still going to give us roughly 25. Number 18. This model of the backboard of a basketball goal is composed of a rectangle and a semicircle. So we've got our rectangle here, and we've got our semicircle, which is half of a circle. Use the ruler provided to measure the dimensions of the model to the nearest ½ inch. So if we measure these with a ruler, this is 4 inches, and this right here is 1½ inches. So just first we're going to find the area of the rectangle, then we'll find the area of the circle, and then we'll add the two together. Okay, so the area of the rectangle is 4 times 1.5. 4 times 5 is 20, carry the 2. 4 times 1 plus 2 is 6. Bring back the decimal one time, and we get 6. So the area of this rectangle is 6 square inches. That's this part. Now we've got to add that 6 to the area of this semicircle. So in order to find the area of a semicircle, we're going to find the area of the whole circle, and then add it, divide it by 2. So the area of the whole circle, we're going to use our formula chart. They tell us, sorry, not circumference. Area of a circle is equal to pi times our radius squared. So if our diameter here, that's our diameter is 4, our radius from there to there will have to be half of that. 4 divided by 2 is 2. So we have a radius here of 2. So I'm going to substitute that for r. I've got pi times 2 squared. 2 squared is 4. So I've got pi times 4. Pi is 3.14. So I've got 3.14 times 4. This will give us the area of the full circle. So 4 times 6 is 16. 16. So 4 times 4 is 16. My bad. 4 times 4 is 16. Carry the 1. 4 times 1 is 4. Plus 1 is 5. And 4 times 3 is 12. And we bring back the decimal 2 times. 1 2 times. And that's going to be the area if it was a full circle. But it's not a full circle. It's half a circle. So I'm going to have to take this number and divide it by 2 to get the area of the semicircle. So 12.56 divided by 2. 2 goes into 1 0 times. Keep it lined up. Put your 0. 2 goes into 12 6 times. Bring our decimal straight up. 6 times 2 is 12. 12 minus 12 is 0. Bring down the 5. 2 goes into 5. 2 times. 2 times 2 is 4. 5 minus 4 is 1. Bring down the 6. And 2 goes into 16 8 times. So the area of this part, the semicircle, is half the circle, so it's 6.28. So we have 6.28 plus the area of this rectangle, which was 6. We're going to line up our decimal, and that gives us 12.28. So 12.28 square inches. C. Number 19. The net of a square pyramid is shown in the diagram. Okay, so it's a square pyramid. So that means if this is 8, this side right here is also going to be 8 inches. And this right here will be 8 inches. And this right here will be 8 inches. So the total surface area, we want the area of this entire thing. So the area of the circle, the square is going to be 8 times 8, 64. 64 inches squared. 64 square inches. Now the area of, let's figure out the area of one triangle, and then we can do that times 4. And then add that to the 64 and get the entire surface area. So the area of a triangle is equal to 1/2 of the base times the height. So our base here is 8 and our height is 9. So we've got 1/2 times 8 times 9. Okay, so 1/2 of 8 is 4. So we end up with 4 times 9. 4 times 9 is 36. So the area of this triangle is 36 square inches. And we've got 4 of these. So 36 for one of them, we have 4 triangles here. So 36 times 4, 4 times 6 is 24, carry the 2, 4 times 3 is 12, plus 2 is 14. So we have 144, that's the area of the 4 triangles. And then we've got to add it to the area of this circle, I'm sorry, this square. So that's 144 plus 64, 4 plus 4 is 8, 6 plus 4 is 10, carry the 1, 1 plus 1 is 2. So the correct answer would be 208 square inches, or inches squared. 208. Number 20. This is an isosceles triangle. These little tick marks mean that this is congruent to this. Now in a triangle, the sides determine the opposite angle. So since we have 2 of the same sides, we're also going to have 2 of the same angles. This angle right here is going to be congruent to this angle right here. So if this is x, this could also be considered x. They're the same. So, and if you remember, a triangle is half of a rectangle. If you ever forget this, or it's half of a square, or a square is a rectangle. But a square is 4 90-degree angles, or a rectangle is 4 90-degree angles. So if 4 times 90 is 360. So any square is going to be, or any rectangle is going to be 360 degrees. A triangle, if you cut a square in half, you get 2 triangles. 360 divided by 2 equals 180. And that's true for any triangle. You cannot draw a triangle where the sum of the angles, if you add up the angles, they don't equal 180. Every single triangle equals 180 when you add up the angles. So what we have here is x plus 48 equals 180. Okay, well x plus x, that's 2x. 2x plus 48 equals 180. Or you can say 48 plus 2x equals 180. This plus this plus this have to equal 180. Number 21. Mr. Brown planted a vegetable garden. The circle graph shows the kinds of vegetables he planted and the percentage of the area of the garden each kind of vegetable occupies. So lettuce occupies 25% of his garden, carrots 5%, broccoli 45%, string beans 10%. So we got to figure out first what percent the cabbage represent, and then what percent that percent of 160. The total area is 160. We're looking for how much is occupied by cabbage. So if we add these up, 5 plus 25 plus 45 plus 10, that brings us to 85. So this much, all this represents 85%. This must be the rest. So 100%, the whole garden is 100% minus the 85%. This cabbage must represent 15%. That's 15% of the garden. And the garden is 160 square feet. So we've got to find 15% of 160. Well, 15% is 0.15. Of means multiply. So we got 0.15 times 160. That'll give us our solution. So 160 times 0.15. We do not have to line up the decimal because we're multiplying. 5 times 0 is 0. 5 times 6 is 30. Carry the 3. 5 times 1 plus 3 is 8. We're going to mark our spot. 0 or an X. 1 times 0 is 0. 1 times 6 is 6. 1 times 1 is 1. We're going to add them up. 0 plus 0 is 0. 0 plus 0 is 0. 8 plus 6 is 14. Carry the 1. 1 plus 1 is 2. Bring back our decimal 2 times. 1, 2. So it's going to be 24 square feet. 15% of 160 is 24 square feet.